Okay.
We're excited.
And we're excited about it. You're on, Travis.
Okay. Hi. Glad everybody can make it today. For this presentation, I wanted to talk about risk decomposition and tracking error, building on a presentation that was given earlier by Sam Schwartz. And in particular, we'll talk about what these are and how to interpret them, how they're calculated, and then I'll work into some examples.
Great.
So you'll recall from Sam's presentation, tracking error is the annualized standard deviation between the benchmark and the portfolio. And the easiest way to interpret that would be to think of it as a 2%, yeah, here we are. The right way to think of it would be as a 1%, of a 1% tracking error is that in 2 out of 3 years, you would be within 1% of that benchmark. And a couple other questions yeah.
So I had a question. So one thing that I've always been confused about, if you say that tracking error is the annual, the standard deviation of the annual returns, do you just have to use annual returns, or do you use monthly returns and annualize them, or monthly returns, the standard deviation of that, or daily returns, or what's the difference between those things, and how does that work?
That's an excellent question. Often we use like monthly returns and then we annualize them. You can use daily returns and annualize them as well, but it is an annualized number. So hence going back to the 2 out of 3 years, your annualized.
I see.
Yeah. Good question. Thanks. Anyone else? All right. Cool. And another couple questions you might have are, why do we care about tracking error in the first place? And what does it have to do with risk decomposition? So the reason we care about tracking error is that we are tracking, especially in regards to a passive portfolio, where we're trying to track to the benchmark, but then on an after-tax basis, we're going to deviate away and create a tax alpha. So we want it to look like the portfolio, but we don't want to lose control of it and have it blow up. And so that's why it matters a lot for parametric. And here's where it'd be good to have a slide. But I want to talk about how we would decompose risk. And if you think about a company like Microsoft, there's a company-specific portion of risk, and that would be like, this is a dated presentation, but like the Zune, everyone remember the Zune and how well it went? If the Zune had actually done well, it would have impacted their performance, but that's not something you can translate across other companies. There can't be like a Zune factor, so that's what we'd call a company-specific risk. And so in a risk model, that company-specific portion, that specific risk is broken out and can be predicted.
I'm sorry, Travis, I'm not understanding that. So you're saying this Zune factor, that means, so Microsoft had this outlier product and how they attribute risk to that product and mark it off their balance sheet, or I'm not understanding.
That's fair. I appreciate it. So the easiest way to think about it is that there's some things that all companies have in common. There's
like what?
The size of it, like how much market cap there is, or how it grows in comparison to the rest of the companies, or what industry it's in. So those are things that we can categorize. We could say for any company, this is a factor that we can measure.
Yeah.
But then there's some things you can't measure. I can't measure how Bill Gates is going to leave the company, or that a specific.
So those are like outlier events that you.
Yeah, I mean they're just things that you can't think about for every single company.
Okay.
That don't make sense to like think about for every company.
And I'll stop you there.